Hello, everybody, and good morning if you're joining us in Australia. If you're joining us from other parts of the globe, welcome to our webinar this morning, and for whatever time zone you're in. The second of our webinars is part of our AI and Career Development Month. Great to have a number of you back for your second webinar for this month, and welcome to those people that are joining us for the first of your webinars as part of this month. Before we get underway today, I would just like to make an acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, the Career Industry Council of Australia would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connection to land, sea and community. I acknowledge that we are hosting this webinar on the lands of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation. I'd like to pay my respects to their elders past and present and extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander peoples who are participating with us in the webinar today. Just a little bit of housekeeping, just to let you know this session is being recorded. So if you do experience any technical issues over the course of the next hour, we would just ask you to try refreshing your screen. In the first instance, if that doesn't work, you can log back in through the link that you've been provided. We do have the chat function open today. We are expecting a large number of people to join us today. So as was the case last week, we have asked JP today to just not to worry too much about what is being put in the chat. If you do have any specific questions for JP, we would ask you please to put those in the Q&A function, which just allows us to help facilitate those for him. You will find throughout the course of today's session that JP will be asking you to enter information into the chat. So that's the way that we'll be able to communicate with him. So get your fingers warmed up and ready to participate in that. As I said, this is the second of 4 webinars this month. We have 2 more to round out the month next Wednesday, and then the last Wednesday of the month. So if you're interested in either of those 2 webinars, please feel free to visit the Seeker website and click on the events tab where you'll be able to register, or if you have received emails from us, you'll be able to follow those links to register on Eventbrite. So that is enough of the housekeeping and sort of advertorial. So it now gives me great pleasure to welcome JP to our international webinar series. He is the creator of the Challenge Mindset and the Challenge Cards, which have been used by more than 70,000 students around the world. His past consultancy work with leaders led to the creation of SparkPath, an innovative career exploration company spotlighted on the Forbes, TEDx, CBC and BBC. He was recognised in 2022 as an outstanding career leader by the Career Professionals of Canada. He holds a degree in psychology from the University of Ottawa and a master's degree in industrial organisational psychology from the University of Manchester. So JP, welcome to our session. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can share yours.
Thanks, David. Happy to be here. I want to say a big hello to everybody before I share my screen. I'm grateful that some of you persisted. You might not have had the right Zoom link. Now you're here. You made it. We're glad you're here. David, I'm thrilled you invited me. I'm going to get to meet so many cool new people today, and it's thanks to you. So a big thank you to you. I love the topic that we picked today, and I'm looking at the chat, and there's some folks that are already excited about this. Generative AI and ChatGPT has been a wonderful addition to so many of the career advisors, career development, career pros that I work with. And I can't wait to tell you about the tricks that they've been using, the obstacles that they've overcome. I hope this is going to be very useful for you in your practice to help you serve who you want to serve. So I'm thrilled to be here. I'm seeing some hellos from people in the chat. Feel free to say hello, where you're from. We're glad that you're here. Okay. David, how does this look?
Perfect.
Okay, good. Great. Just so you know where my ideas come from today, I studied industrial organizational psychology. It's a type of psychology that studies the workplace. And it led me to 7 years of human resources consulting. I worked for an American company called DDI, Development Dimensions International. There's their little logo in the middle. And that gave me access to consult with all sorts of organizations in different sectors. And from the leaders and organizations I worked with, I drew a lot of insights into how things are changing in the workplace And I use those insights to create my company called SparkPath. And I want to share those insights with you today. At the end of the session, I'll share my LinkedIn profile link if you want to connect on LinkedIn and keep the conversation going about career development. I would love that. So here's what we're going to cover together today. I want to tell you about Jake's story, why AI matters to him and why AI matters to us. I want to give you a demo of ChatGPT and share some stories, examples, and prompts that I've been using. And so hopefully some of these will be useful for you in your practice. And then before we stop, I want to pause and to find out more about how you want to use generative AI to serve yourself, to serve the people that you help. During the session, you're going to hear me talk about clients and students. This is because a lot of the partners that I've built over the years are schools, colleges, universities, high schools that are using career development to help students reach their potential. That being said, a lot of the tools I'm talking about today apply to mid-career professionals, people who are retiring. So I'm sure there's something for everyone who's a part of this call. Here's what's in scope and out of scope for us. We're going to talk about AI for career exploration. We're going to talk about AI for job search. We're going to talk about AI prompting. We will not cover AI for essay writing. We're not going to talk about plagiarism, and we're only going to lightly touch on AI ethics. These are worthwhile topics that are worth thinking about and conversating about. They're not the subject for the session today. So if that's what you're looking for, I might point you to other resources where you can dive deeper on these subjects. If you're here for career exploration in AI, you're at the right place. Okay, let's ground ourselves on why we're spending an hour talking about this today. Why does it matter to us and our clients? AI is changing industries, companies, and jobs. Disruption in how we work and how we apply for jobs, it's here, it's coming, more of it's coming. By taking a step to learn more about AI, which I'm sure you've all been doing over the last year, or even more, you're leveling up your skills and therefore helping to level up your clients who are in this labor market that's about to be disrupted. So that's a plus. AI can be very useful for everyone, for our clients, for ourselves, and we want to use it in a very mindful way today and in the future. This is why AI matters. I'm going to start this conversation and tell you about a client because we want to bring these ideas to life. Jake is a student, he's not a student, but he's someone who's been out of the workforce for 3 years. Okay, maybe some of you work specifically with this profile. This is someone who feels like they don't have a purpose. They don't know what they want to do. Have you ever had that feeling that one of your clients shows up to you and looks at you dead in the eye and says, tell me what to do? It's like they're looking at you for that purpose. They're looking at you to be matched with that one thing, right? So Jake is desperate. He's facing obstacles. He's got limited digital literacy, low self-confidence. He needs our help. How did Jake get here? Well, let's talk about some of his past experiences. His career reflection started off with this question: what do you want to be when you grow up? When he was 14 or 15 years old, this was a tough question to tackle. Why? Well, because he only knew of a handful of job titles. I'm talking about 10, 20, or 30. You know what I mean by job title, right? Police officer, engineer, doctor, lawyer, teacher. He only knew of a small sample size. And today, there are at least 20,000 job titles available out there, just now, at a minimum. So there's a huge gap between what he knew and what's there. And this was a big issue for him in his career reflection. So instead of picking a problem to solve, instead of choosing a job title, which is what he thought he needed to do, what do you want to be when you grow up? He thought he needed to pick one thing forever. I want to invite you to show him a different way of doing things. I want to invite Jake to choose which challenge he'd like to solve. Play along with me and I'll tell you why I'm doing this, okay? Can you tell me, everyone who's participating, all 163 of us, can you tell me, would you rather work on invent new biotechnology or promote healthy living? Can you take a moment to write that in the chat? I just want to get a sense of what you would vote for. So I'll tell you one more time and then write this in the chat. Would you rather invent new biotechnology or promote healthy living? I can't read everybody's choices because we're 165, but I want to get a cross section. Okay, skewed towards promote healthy living so far. We've got a few folks who are picking invent new biotechnology. Somebody said both. Okay, this is happening very fast. Going with your gut, your intuition, both biotech, lovely. Thanks for playing along. We just looked at two different challenges to solve. I want to play again with you, okay? Let's do a second round. This time we're choosing from two different challenges. Can you tell me which challenge you'd rather work on? Improve mental health or design the future of transportation? People are voting very quickly. Thanks for being so active. Go ahead. Skewed towards improve mental health so far. We've got some folks for transportation. Okay, keep the votes coming. I love seeing what your opinions are, what you'd like to vote for. Now, if we were one-on-one, I would love to ask you why you picked that challenge. This fascinates me. If I asked you why you chose design the future of transportation, is it possible I could learn about your values, your interests, your skills and strengths, your systems of beliefs, the impact you want to have on the world? These answers are the raw material that we need as career development professionals to help someone like Jake craft his career story. And it's tied to labor market information, right? I'm showing you problems to solve, which is labor market information. Choosing a problem to solve to think about your career is very different than how Jake went through it. Okay, when Jake went to school, somebody could ask him, what's your favorite class in high school? Let's say somebody in high school says, well, I like math, so maybe in post-secondary I can do accounting. If I'm an accounting major, I can get a job as an accountant, work for a firm that hires accountants, and then eventually 5 years or 10 years down the line, I realize, what am I actually doing? Okay, maybe I'm helping companies pay as little amount of tax as possible. And maybe I hate that. Or maybe I love it. I don't know, but it took me a very, very long time to get there. What if we did things differently for Jake? What if he had been invited to first find problems to solve in the world? Then he could work backwards to find which companies are working on that, who works there, and what they needed to learn to be able to do that. Then he could tie it right back to his day-to-day. It could give him a purpose to go just to school. This way of looking at things is what I call a challenge mindset. And it's essential in the age of AI that we equip people like Jake with a mindset like this, because things are changing quickly. The challenge mindset is an approach to career exploration focused on challenges to tackle instead of job titles to fit into. When Jake thinks about challenges to solve, he sees the bigger picture, which prepares him for a much deeper career reflection. I built a tool to help people like Jake reflect on that, which I just showed you, called the challenge card. So that's what you just looked at. You looked at a few challenges to solve based on the challenge cards. If you wanted, you could do this with any resource, by the way. A lot of the schools I'm working with do this with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, UNSDGs. If you want to Google that right now, you're going to find a bunch of problems to solve. Affordable clean energy or clean water, climate action or no poverty. There's so many challenges to solve in the world. Let me give you one concrete example, because I think this opens up a lot of our clients' eyes when we show them problems to solve like this. I want to ask you, who engineers better medicine? Can you imagine someone with a light white lab coat, like a scientist, like a chemist or a biologist? If so, you're right. I mean, that's one of the people that works on this, right? Who else, though? Let's be a bit more creative. Who else works on this? I'm not reading everything, but I'm seeing some of your chat messages. So I know some people are thinking about who else. Okay, Carolyn. Great, Carolyn. Data analysts. They're not wearing a white lab coat, but you're right. We need the data. We need some data analysts as part of this project. What about the finance lead that got the budget to fund the development of the drug? That's a very important role here. What about the project manager keeping everybody on task? What about the person who cleans the lab equipment? What about the graphic designer? What about the HR person that gets everybody to work together? What about marketing people, PR people, product developers? Now you're getting it. Look at the answers coming in. We understand this. Here's the message for Jake. In the real world, it takes an interdisciplinary approach to solve a problem. Let me tell you one more time. In the real world, it takes an interdisciplinary approach to solve a problem. With Jake's background, that's not the way that he looks at the world. He sees the world at a very linear lens, okay? Biology, biologist, right? But we need a bigger way of looking at the world if we're going to prepare Jake for what's coming next in terms of AI. Let me ask you here, how might this challenge mindset point of view help your clients in their job search and in their job exploration? Can you let me know in the chat, how might this challenge mindset help your clients in their job search and job exploration? Annie says it would give them a sense of purpose. That's pretty powerful because Jake showed up without it. Belinda aligns with values. That's great. What does it align with values? Well, it aligns the labor market, a real issue that's out there, with values that are inside. So I think that's unique. Thank you. That's a great answer. Find motivation. Absolutely. Expand the range of options. Christina, that's the #1 answer I get in these sessions. People say it broadens horizons. So you get people to look at more possibilities. Rachel, I love the word identity. I'd like to come back to that if we have time later in the webinar. Widen it rather than narrow it down. This is a great way of putting it, Jackie, because our profession has been falsely accused of narrowing things down too quickly when we should be widening it at the beginning. And this we're going to cover in even more detail. Where they focus their work experience. So you really get this. So I've got over 30 responses. I can't read them all, but people are really getting the value that this approach brings. So I want students to also understand that the world needs them. I think that Jake showed up to his meeting with his career professional thinking the opposite. I think he showed up in life, he's showing up every day thinking the world doesn't need me. And that's unfortunate. I think the world needs Jake. There are problems to solve everywhere. Yes, he's going to have to work hard to find the right opportunity. Yes, he might have to work to level up his skills to get there. But once he gets there, he can make a difference. So why is this way of looking at the world particularly important in the time of AI? Feel free to chime in with your answers, but I'm going to give you one to kick this question off. We can no longer pretend to match young people with one job title for life for 50 years. Artificial intelligence is bringing so much disruption to different industries that we have to help people look beyond what they're choosing immediately. We have to prepare them for a future of adaptability. What does that mean? People will work on several different problems to solve over the course of their careers. So just keeping them away from the paradigm of matching them to one job titles does a favor to making them more adaptable and preparing for the world of AI. So we've got an opportunity to talk about AI with all of our clients. And the first thing that we talked about today together in this webinar is showing someone the bigger picture. What are the challenges we're actually trying to solve? This is one of the ways that we can talk about AI productively. And then once someone sees the bigger picture, problems to solve, they have a language, a way to understand the labor market, then we can explain AI will be used to solve problems at work. I know Jake might not have as much experience as we do in terms of the labor market, understanding how things work, but this he can understand. People will use AI to improve how they solve problems at work. And finally, okay, given that context, how can you help? What challenges do you want to solve? How do you want to help? How can you, Jake, use AI to help? This is a productive way to talk about AI. When we talk about AI, we can fall into the following pitfalls, which I must admit, sometimes I can be guilty of this. Okay, so I recognize myself here. Underestimating the role of AI. Have you heard someone say, I don't do AI, and I'm proud of it? It's just a trend, it's just a bandwagon. That may be a fine personal choice, but what if that's a disservice to the Jake that you're helping? What if you're one of those unique people that can have an accurate transformational conversation with Jake about AI in his life? If you opted out of AI, then by default, you sort of opted out your clients of understanding what's going on with AI. Another pitfall would be focusing on fear. AI is going to take all of our jobs. Listen, AI will take some jobs. There are some negative parts of AI. But if we just put AI in a fear bucket, again, what does that do for Jake? He might resist it even more. We don't want to go too far the other way, blind optimism, AI is going to solve all of our problems. I'm doing a webinar on GenAI. Everyone used to use GenAI for everything. I don't think so either. We need to be mindful about how we use it. Okay, back to Jake. We gotta do something for this person. We gotta help him. He's struggling. He's facing obstacles. One of the reflexes I've developed is to ask, well, what might be useful for him? How could generative AI or ChatGPT help? Why is this a useful reflex? Well, because now we're going to tap into its productive capabilities of generative AI. So here's what I would say to Jake. Jake says, I have no idea what I want to do. I'm going to say to him, listen, one of the best ways to figure out what you want to do is to pick problems you'd like to work on. In his case, here are the two problems he wants to work on. This lights him up. He wants to create meaningful experiences for others and improve mental health. Let's put ChatGPT to work to find out if it can guide us in exploring these two different challenges and guide Jake. Okay, so I'm in ChatGPT currently. And David, do you mind if I ask you, just for visibility, how's the size of this type here? Should I expand on this, or does that look nice, or what?
No. Yeah, no, it looks good.
Great, thanks, David. So you see my first prompt here. I want to get ChatGPT to work. By the way, on this call, here's my hypothesis about who's here. There's someone on this call that has never used ChatGPT before, and there's someone on this call that is an expert in ChatGPT and has used it a lot. And I'm going to try to make something relevant for everybody. For your advanced users, thanks for your patience in the next 3 minutes as I do some ChatGPT 101. And for those of you who are using it for the first time, thanks for giving me your questions once we get to more advanced stuff so that you can use all of this stuff. I think the session's being recorded, by the way, if ever you want to listen to it again. So I'm using a tool called ChatGPT. I'm using ChatGPT 4. It's a paid version of ChatGPT. You do not need to use the paid version for any of the stuff I'm doing today. As far as I know, the paid version accesses the web more directly than the unpaid version. I've made a list of prompts just in the interest of speed today, but I'm going to show you how you can generate your own list of prompts. So in my list of prompts, I said, I want you to be my career coach co-pilot. We're going to help Jake. Now, I'm going to give him some information about Jake so that my ChatGPT co-coach has some idea about who he's helping. But you know what? Before I click send, is there anything I should change about my prompt here? Should I write Jake's name here? Should I write about where he lives? Maybe not. ChatGPT is supposedly a secure platform that you're supposed to use, but you want to protect your client's privacy. It may be easier to do this exercise without including their names, without including personal information. You lose out on very little. I can even change Jake's name to Jason. Just for my purposes, we're going to have a name in ChatGPT. This is one trick of ethics that you might want to use as well. Okay. Oh, look at that in the chat. Everybody, you've got 10 people that already knew this. You knew what game I was playing. So exactly. So removing the name, that could be useful. Okay. Okay, so I've got some information. We're talking about Jason. Okay, so ChatGPT says, okay, Jason. So what do we know about Jason? I'm going to tell ChatGPT, using the challenge mindset approach, Jason has expressed interest in working on the following challenges to solve: improve mental health and create meaningful experiences for others. Just feeding it data at my own pace, okay? I want to prove to him right away that these are real challenges that people are working on. So I'm going to use the flip the model approach. Do you remember flip the model? Challenges, companies, people, and learning. So can you help us find 5 organizations in Ottawa working on these challenges? This step used to be one of the most difficult steps in the process of the challenge mindset, because you would have to have Googling skills, which a lot of our clients didn't have at our level, right? How can I Google what these, what companies are working on these challenges? Now with ChatGPT, that is a much easier way of doing things. Look at this. It already found organizations working on mental health and creating meaningful experiences for people. So we've got a starting point for discussion. I like proving it to Jake also that this stuff is real right away, right? Okay. What's next? I think this is a bit wordy, for someone like Jake. I'd like to be worded shorter. So I've got my favorite prompt here where I ask for a very short description of these companies. So I like to say, rewrite these company descriptions as problems to solve. So I'm kind of making them look like the challenge cards that I showed you earlier. Look at how this is punchier to me. Advocate for culturally appropriate mental health care. Develop public health programs for diverse community needs. Now I see like a more succinct way of describing the company. Now I'm more comfortable sharing this with Jake. This is like, okay, cool. This is cool stuff. All right, so I got companies to work on. Now I want to show Jake the jobs there. I keep changing Jake to Jason. I think we all know that Jake is a fake name at this point. You don't need me to share that example, but you get the drift with that exercise. So this could be a big exercise. This could take hours, right? You got to go to each company's website, see what jobs they're offering. What if ChatGPT could do that more quickly than you? First of all, let's make a note about accuracy. In my case, it's not always accurate, and I treat it as such. Okay, what do I mean by that? They might make a mistake in identifying a company that doesn't really work on those challenges. They might name jobs that aren't really a good fit. So this to me is a starting point for research. It's not the be all end all exact answers that we're looking for. Okay, for entry-level jobs that align with Jason's interests, customer service, support workers, administrators, program coordinators, interaction with public. And then they're giving me more ideas, more places to look. Boom, right away in just a few minutes, we've made the challenge mindset come to life through ChatGPT. So let me just check, like, what do they need to learn to be able to do these jobs? This again, when I was in industrial organizational psychology consulting, we did stuff like this. What do you need to learn to be able to do that? We made success profiles and we wrote job descriptions and competency profiles. They took a very long time. If I had ChatGPT back then, this could have saved me a lot of time. Again, they wouldn't give me the right exact 100% polished answer I could give back to clients, but they'd give me a big jump start in gathering this information. This is useful. Okay. I'm concerned that we're drifting off here, and it might not be exactly what Jake is looking for. So some people in the chat are saying, this is cool. Wow, I'm loving this. I'm glad you're loving it. That's how I fell in love with the tool as well. I promise you, though, that you're going to run into some obstacles that will make you love it less. But I like the initial sparks. Let the initial sparks fly right now, okay? So let's say he wants a customer service job like this, okay? How can I help him get a customer service job like this? This, I want to show you a little bit more advanced use of ChatGPT. How can I get him a customer service job like this? Skill development, resume cover, interview prep, networking, volunteering. Okay, that's useful, but we already knew that. You're a career pro. This didn't work as well as I wanted to. I already knew that stuff. So look, I can go here to the pencil and I'm going to edit this to something else I might like. So look at this, look at how subtly different this prompt is. How can I help him get a customer service job like this? Give me 10 prompts and tell me how to use ChatGPT to help us with each one. Okay, now I'm going to make ChatGPT work a little bit more. Let's see if this is more useful. Okay, and this is one of the key learning points from the entire webinar, by the way. If you're making notes, this is one note to pick up on. What I want you to pick up on is some of you might have thought to yourself, wow, I hope JP sends me his list of prompts in the webinar. That is a distraction. This is what I want you to learn instead. I want you to make ChatGPT responsible for giving you the prompts. It's a very important part because as generative AI evolves, they will get very, very good at giving you the prompts. Right now, they're not, okay? Right now, it's up to you to come up with the best prompts. So you're gonna go searching blog posts and experts that give you the best prompts. That's useful, it's good learning. But the trick is that you can walk away from today is ask ChatGPT to give you the prompts. What do I mean by that? For resume building, here's what you could tell me. This is ChatGPT speaking. Help me write a resume for customer service. For cover lettering, draft a cover letter. Here's how we can help. Provide common interview questions. Find online courses. Suggest volunteer work. This is doing more work. You know what we usually did, right? I'm going to show you my other answer. What we did in the old world is we said, okay, Jake, go do your homework. Go build the cover letter and resume. Go prep for your interview, Jake. Go help you with everything. We only have 15 minutes left together, Jake. I can only help you with one of them. Well, what's possible now in this new world? Like, is more stuff possible? I wouldn't suggest assigning Jake to do homework in generative AI unless you're comfortable with it yet, but eventually you will be. So eventually you could ask Jake, hey, Jake, go build version 1 of your draft interview prep, and then let's review it together. What about this? I wouldn't have thought about this right away. Like some of you are experts in mental health, but you're going to think, oh, you know what? We said Jake had low confidence. Maybe he can work on his self-care. Maybe he can work on his cultural competency. So I hope this gives you some ideas in terms of the prompts that we're looking for. Let me just check in on the chat. So incredibly useful. Filter what the chat is giving you. Good starting point. Yes, but some of the stuff you won't like that's coming out of this. Exactly. Do we get a copy of your prompts, Carolyn? Exactly. I know you want to copy my prompts. What I want you to develop is the reflex to ask which prompts. By the way, if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share my slides with you. So you need to memorize the flip model, right? Challenges, companies, people, learning. But from there, ask ChatGPT to give you the prompts, right? And you decide what prompts you like. Okay, so let's go to that homework angle. Okay. Let's do building confidence. We want to work on that. Can you give me 3 exercises Jake can do between now and our next meeting to build confidence? I like creating stuff like this, but I would have taken 90 minutes. I would have taken 90 minutes to ask someone. I'm going to email David. Hey, David, who do you know that builds confidence? David's going to get back to me in 2 days. That's fine. Then we get it. Now, instantly, we get ideas. Okay, first skim. Oh man, Jake doesn't like reading a lot of stuff. I don't know if he's gonna like this. So sometimes I tell ChatGPT how I feel. I'm pushing back. I don't like it. I'm gonna tell ChatGPT how I feel. I'm concerned my client may not enjoy this. Like, okay, I was super excited about the idea of him doing homework. Now I see all this work. I don't like it. Like, how can I'm just gonna tell it transparently, ChatGPT, I don't like it. Can you help me personalize this for him and make it more fun? Okay, make customized affirmation cards, build an achievement timeline, make an interactive role game. That's fun. That's okay, but let's customize it even more. Customize it more. What do we know about Jason? Jason loves Snoop Dogg. That's his favorite artist. Okay. So now, and I'm serious, okay? He really loves Snoop Dogg, not just sort of, but a lot. Okay. So Snoop Dogg, create affirmations that sound like Snoop Dogg and like his quotes. Okay, that's fun. Get an achievement timeline with a hip hop theme. Okay. What about role playing with a Snoop Dogg twist? Okay, now we're having fun. Okay, and not every client is about having fun. For someone's going to be more serious. But again, I want you to get the twist of customization. Customizing your homework at scale for extremely diverse clients, worthwhile yet extremely time heavy. What if you asked ChatGPT to do some of the heavy lifting and do some of the work for you? Could that save you some time? I hope it would. I hope you like it. Thank you for everyone who's laughing. I hope you like my Snoop Dogg example. I just wanted to give you a memorable way of customizing for your clients. Okay, so that was my demo. Let's do a quick pause here. I want you to tell me, the new users, are you following me? Did I go too fast? Did I miss something? The advanced users, be candid. Tell me, I've already done this. I'm way past this. I want the more advanced stuff. Just let me know. I'm just going to follow quickly in your chat. There's a lot of people talking, but I do want to get a sense of your reaction. So customizing, very cool. Never thought about this direction. I've logged in late. Kathy, you logged in late. It was so fun. The last 30 minutes where everyone loved it so much. I'm sorry, Kathy. No, I'm kidding. We recorded it. You can catch up. This is not no going great. No, it's going great. Okay, great. Following, more advanced. Kathy, you're ready for more advanced. Good. New user, very exciting. Following, very cool. This was great for me. User, blown away. Pace is great. Perfect pace. Good, good, great. Okay, good. Very positive. I've never used it at all. Pace is fine. I've used ChatGPT a fair bit. Very helpful. Beginner. Good. New user. Okay. Good. A bit more advanced. Okay, good.
JP, so, if I can just add too, if you want me to just throw in, great. This is really good as a backup to last week's session, right? So last week's session, really, for those people that were here, was sort of an introduction to AI and generative type tools. You're now taking it to the next level. So, I think people are really valuing that live demonstration is really, really fantastic.
Okay, good. I'm glad. I'm going to share, I won't do it Actually, can I do this live? I just got an idea, something I wasn't planning on sharing, but maybe for the more advanced users. Maybe for the more advanced users who have been using this for a year, we could talk about how you got to this stage. So um, I think in my case, I like paying attention to what matters. And we all have to do this in our day to day. You find out about a new book, like, oh, that's kind of cool, but it doesn't matter that much. You find out about a new tool. You find out about TikTok. Is TikTok important or not? You have to decide for you, right? And when ChatGPT came out, it took some while to convince myself, but I decided it's important. So I entered a stage of forcing myself to change my identity to someone who uses ChatGPT. It was very mechanical at the beginning, but here's how I did it. And this is extremely specific to my personal style. And I'll tell you why I'm saying that in a minute. My personal style is talking. So I work at a co-working spot. It's empty right now because it's 7:30 p.m. But during the day there are people here. So I force myself to talk to people about ChatGPT at lunch. Are you using ChatGPT? How? And the socialization of it really made it more present in my environment, because otherwise I'm working alone on my own stuff. Nobody's asking me to use ChatGPT. No one's forcing me to. No one's encouraging me to. So I had to create an informal network of interested people. And I invite you to do the same, because I don't think you can walk away from a session like today's and sort of tomorrow you have 7 things to do. Where will you squeeze in ChatGPT? So if you create your own circle in your office, at home with your friends, to talk about how you're using it, to me, that helped me level up my skills a lot. So now one of the main reasons I'm using it is a self-coaching. That may surprise you, but one of my business coaches told me, stop working with me and start coaching yourself through ChatGPT. Very bold. And he told me this in February, and I thought, very bold. But I tried it, and for me, it's been working. What do I mean self-coaching? I tell ChatGPT, I'm trying to become better at planning and organizing. Can you help me do that? The answer, because I really am, by the way, that's one of my weaknesses, right? In terms of my skills, I'm more wired to think about strategy. Planning and organizing is very hard for me. The answer it came back with was terrible. It's the generic stuff that I always see all the time and that I failed to learn consistently over the years. So let me tell you my next prompt. I wrote a very detailed 1-pager of my strengths and weaknesses. I think you all know how to do that because your expertise is self-awareness. So you might already have this written down somewhere. So I have a prompt that I can copy paste regularly that says, here's who I am, copy paste, teach me planning, organizing. Now everything that came back is extremely customized to people with similar issues, problems, strengths that I have. And that made the world of a difference, because I went from reading a generic book about planning and organizing to reading like a customized curriculum based on my strengths and weaknesses. So I hope that gives advanced users a prompt that they can go out and try. First, you have to have, another recommendation I make for people for ChatGPT is, first you have to have problems, right? If you talk to people at lunch and everything is going well and they've got no issues and life is perfect, I can't sell you on using ChatGPT. You don't have a problem to solve, right? So you have to speak to people who are transparent. For example, some of the universities I'm working with, they're trying to scale career development. There are 10 career advisors and they have 40,000 students. That's a good problem. Some people on this call, maybe you've got 40 clients you need to get to in the span of 2 weeks. That's a good problem. So if you bring ChatGPT your problems, then you can start to use it as a self-coaching tool. So that's another thing that I recommend. So sorry, I went a bit on a tangent, but I hope that for a few people on this call, you'll experiment. You'll be willing to experiment with using this as a tool for self-coaching. Okay, going back to not self-coaching, but going back to using ChatGPT to help your clients. Here's a summary of what we've talked about. You're investing, you don't know how to use ChatGPT maybe today, or you're not using it as much as you want, but you're investing time and energy so that eventually, very, very soon, you're going to maximize your impact. You might double your impact, you might 10x your impact, because you're giving better service through higher efficiency. You're producing a lot of useful stuff. I use ChatGPT as a collaborative tool. It's a conversation. It's not like Google. Google, you search, you try to find the answer. ChatGPT, you have to build the answer collaboratively. I didn't show you a lot of mistakes that it makes, but I want you to anticipate that. It's going to give you answers you're not satisfied with. You'll have to reprompt. You can even tell it, I don't like what you wrote, you're wrong. And it's going to talk with you, okay? I approach it with exploration and openness. And to me, it helps you provide a personalized client-centered approach. That's the example I tried to bring to life with Snoop Dogg. So you can use it for all of these different ideas: career guidance, job matching, skills assessment, market trend awareness, resume building. I like researching companies, researching potential areas of growth in different markets. One of the books or resources that helped me is Jeremy Schieffeling's Career Coach GPT. I did a career on a similar topic with Jeremy, who works for Khan Academy and who previously worked for LinkedIn. He's someone I follow on LinkedIn, by the way, who has great resources on using ChatGPT. He's built his own tools on top of ChatGPT. And if you want to pick up a book, this is a great book. It's just a few bucks online. You can buy the digital versions. I think it's very cheap. And it's going to give you ideas and processes and prompts. But remember, I told you today, the secret is not for you to get a great list of prompts. The secret is to ask ChatGPT to find the prompts for you. So that's what I recommend. In the meantime, the book is Career Coach GPT by Jeremy Schieffeling. I hope that's a useful resource for you. Okay, why did we start this webinar by talking about the challenge mindset, the bigger picture approach? I think that speaking to Jake about his career development, sending him off to the world without the bigger picture, he's not going to get what he wants and what he needs out of his career exploration, out of his job search. And going back to his formative years when he received maybe basic career development or the career development of the past, this is what happened to him. He took a career test that said, do you like to buy and sell stocks and bonds? At the time he was 17, he said no, because he never heard the word stock or bond. I had not at 17. My parents were teachers. They didn't talk to me about stocks and bonds. So what's the implication of this, of the career interest inventory? Well, what Jake went through is that at an age where he should have been broadening his horizons, he was narrowing his interests, right? Even the career development field for a long time defined confidence, choosing one thing forever, as metrics of success. This is not relevant anymore in the age of AI where things are changing quickly. I want us to remind ourselves of that, because when someone shows up to come see you, that's what they're bringing to you. This is their past experience. This is their mindset that they're bringing to you. So where does it go? Well, if we ask them, what do you want to do and what do you like, it reflects what he already knows. Let me make this a little bit worse. What if Jake comes from a marginalized group? What if he comes from generational trauma? What if he's faced a big barrier somehow in his family? Is it possible that his exposure to the world of work was even more limited? Instead of knowing 20 job titles, he knew 10. Well, this is an issue for us, because you could call it an equity issue, because part of our magic is that we can make sure that where people come from doesn't determine where they go. It's not just the education system that's responsible for that. As career development professionals, we have a huge role in making that happen. But if we started the whole thing with an interest inventory, that's not what we're doing. We're not doing equity lens. We're doubling down on who they were. It's like I'm crystallizing Jake's past identity at the expense of his aspirational identity. That's a fun phrase, isn't it? Aspirational identity. That's part of our business, isn't it? What if instead of doubling down on who he was at the start of our coaching or advising, we first helped him explore the world of work through challenges to solve? He finds new challenges, new companies, new people to follow, new learning opportunities. He learned 100 new things he didn't know before he met you. And then we say, okay, who do you need to become to do that? Now we made space for his aspirational identity to develop. I'm hoping that what I'm telling you right now is a little bit provocative, because our field is so good at self-awareness. And it's good. People like Jake need self-awareness. There's a lack of self-awareness in the world. But I say we should do it delicately, because self-awareness too soon, too hard, crystallizes his past at the expense of his future. And we're also very good at this piece. And in the age of AI, reinvention, creating an aspirational identity several times in your life, to me, that's number one. Number one metric of success. Reinvention, identity. Someone earlier mentioned identity, and I was hoping that we would talk about that a little bit. So I'm talking to you about identity because some of your students have this exposure bias, right? They only know about a few things that are out there, and we're looking for a different approach. This is part of the approach that I believe in. We want to give Jake self-efficacy. We want to give him hope. He sees possibilities. He knows who he is and who he wants to become, yet he's prepared for change. That's what the challenge mindset is built around. If you like these ideas, I just wrote a book called The World Needs You. It's not a book for Jake, it's a book for you. It's about how to make the challenge mindset come to life. This entire book is written not about generative AI, but what to do about it. Everything's about to change dramatically. We need new tools in career exploration. For decades, our only tool to explore the labor market was the job title. Isn't that a weak tool to explore the labor market? Isn't it time we use a better tool? The labor market is not driven by job titles. It's driven by problems to solve. I know that's a big idea, but it's very accessible to people, to Jake. If you just play games like we did. Remember when we played a game? Do you like this challenge or that challenge? Jake will get it. He'll get it right away. So I hope that this book can be a useful book as part of your toolkit out of all the things that you could offer. The book is called The World Needs You. You know why? It's because we're the people who have the unique privilege of showing Jake that the world needs him. And I like saying showing because I don't think we should be motivational speakers. I like hype. I like selling Jake on himself. I love doing that stuff. But I think it's more important for me to prove it. How did I prove that the world needs him? I did it in ChatGPT today. I showed him there's problems to solve. There's real companies working on this. They have real job openings. And this is accessible for you. That's, to me, is how I proved the world needs you. So part of our story is that this little deck of cards that I'm talking about, there's now 35,000 decks in use all over the world. 70,000 students have done the digital version of the challenge cards, and we've got over 100 schools subscribed to our platform. And the goal was to start a new conversation about career exploration on a global scale. And I'm telling you this today because at the end, I'm going to send, we're going to do a draw for a free deck of cards. I'll send it to you. I told David before the call that to say thank you to him, I would mail it to him. And he said, "Are you kidding? Do you know what the shipping costs are?" I said, "Doesn't matter, David. You're getting a deck of cards." And somebody else on this webinar is going to get a deck of cards too. So I want to tell you more about how people are using this stuff. I think that's what we've got time for. We've got about 10 minutes left together. I want to give you more examples about how people are using this stuff so that you can pick and choose what you think is important and relevant for you. But before that, I want to pause just to check in to see if you've got questions, comments, things I haven't answered yet that might be useful.
So JP, there's a couple of questions in the Q&A. So I don't know if you want to do those now or at the end. I think there was another interesting comment in the chat too, and I'd be interested in your perspectives from a Canadian perspective. Like a number of people that are joining us today work in government organisations, and at the moment there are restrictions on using these types of tools in government-run organisations. So, if you're working in a government department or if you're working for a TAFE and so forth, even last night I was actually having dinner with a group of people and they work with a big mining company down here, BHP, and it's banned. You just can't use it inside BHP. They've blocked using, Copilot. They are not allowing it because of security issues. Where is Canada at on that issue? Can you add anything to that?
We've got
I think it's going to
similar
change,
restrictions
obviously.
than you do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and I don't have anything exciting to say like a solution or a turnaround, but we've got similar restrictions, and even in research and in higher ed, people want to use, people want to, for example, I don't know if any of you know about this, but qualitative interviews with research participants, they want to take that, transcribe it, analyze for themes, all be automated. You don't include the names, even that not allowed currently. So it's an obstacle. Things will change. But for now, it is a restriction. I wish I had something exciting to say, like hope for the future, David. But like a lot of these things, they tend to open up eventually.
Mm. Um, So I don't know if can you see those questions, JP, in the
I'm in the
Q&A?
chat and I'm overwhelmed. Oh man, I wish I could answer everyone's comments, but you warned me about this, David. You said
Yeah, I did.
you wouldn't be able
Stay out
to.
of the chat. I'll keep an eye on the
I'm
chat. You
sorry.
stay out of the
Everyone's got
chat.
so much good enthusiasm. So, you want to pick a question for me in the Q&A, or should I?
Yeah, so I think well you can. I mean, I
Oh, yeah,
think
I see them now. I see them, David. Let me give it a shot, okay? Um, so Sonia asked, do you go through the ChatGPT prompts process with the client in the session? Oh, I only started doing that after I gained a lot of experience where I was comfortable doing it. This week I met with a student in biotech, and Sonia, I needed to get minimally informed about what biotech is. In a vulnerable way, I showed it's a young graduate. I showed them, here's how I learned about biotech. So me being vulnerable showed them, I don't know, I don't understand. I'm using ChatGPT to help. So I'm at a stage where I can use it. I wouldn't recommend using it in front of a client unless you're comfortable using it first. Ray asked the same question. So thanks for that. That was a great one. That was a great one as well. Do you think it means that students should study broad degrees that teach problem solving creativity? Okay, Louisa asked a wonderful question. Do you think this means that students should study broad degrees that teach problem solving creativity and adaptability rather than something specific? I think students need to understand the difference between breadth and depth. The best way that I learned about this is through a book called Range, Why Generalists Trump Specialists in a Wicked World. That book argues in favor of generalists. In my opinion, they're wrong. We need to understand both when it's useful to be broad, when it's useful to be narrow. So it's not about winning that argument. In America, our neighbors, they're obsessed with that question, but I think they're missing the essence of it, is that both approaches can have value. What does that mean? Of course, if you study a nursing degree, it's helpful to know that you'll be a nurse. Do one informational interview with a senior nurse, and she'll explain how diverse nursing is. There's so many nursing roles, okay? If you want to do a broad liberal arts degree, you still have to go in thinking, what maybe is the impact I want to have on the world? Who might I work for? What jobs am I interested in? These are not appropriate questions in your last week of your fourth year of your studies. There's too much pressure at that stage. You can do career exploration before you do the broad degree, knowing that. Are the challenges, the companies, and jobs going to change? You bet. But students need to have that instinct, that reflex to do that type of research, whether they do a broad or a narrow degree. So I think we still need both. Okay, here's a big one. One answer. I'm sorry, Barbara, I might not get to that. Maybe a bit too big to tackle in this session. Joanne, are the cards specifically for students? I work with career changes in mid-careers. No, I love talking about students. That's happened to be the area that I partner with the most, but this is an appropriate conversation for someone who's a mid-career professional as well. David, do I have time to go back to my slides, or is that too risky with
No.
the time that we've got
Six
left?
minutes. So no, you go back to your slides.
Okay, let's do that. Just to give you some easy examples of how you might want to bring this to life. So I'm going to tell you about people that are much smarter than I am that took this idea to the next level. Western University in Canada. Forget the traditional career fair. Flip the career fair. Ask every student to pick challenges to solve, and then they visit with the employers that are working on those challenges. Much more meaningful conversation between the student and the employer. It's about purpose, not about salary or benefits. University of South Florida, they did a major expo. Here, what do you want to study? Forget the regular major expo. They asked all the students to pick challenges to solve, and then the students would go to the booths and they'd say, hey, psychology, how can you help me protect society from crime? Hey, business, how can you help me increase sustainable energy? Whole different level of dialogue between the students and the booths. University of Guelph, they're using the challenge mindset in the classroom as a way to connect the curriculum with real world issues. That's the dream of faculty, right? They want to connect curriculum with real world issues. So they're doing career development without using the word career. That's their magic. I've presented with Nicola Edwards at a couple conferences, and that's her trick. She gets faculty on board with career development without using the word careers because they're focused on challenges to solve. You've got a lot of rural regions in Australia, correct? So one state said to me, I can't do the challenge mindset. My Cities are too rural. Like, what if the challenges that they want to work on are not there? So they changed it. They started with companies. They found local companies and they said, okay, let's start with what companies are here. Let's reverse engineer what challenges they're working on. And they did that manually, which is a bit of work. You could do that in ChatGPT just like I did. That's much faster. So they built profiles for the state of Idaho. If you want to create meaningful experiences for others, here's where you can work. Here's someone you can meet that can talk about this. That's how they created this. I call this a challenge profile. I did this quickly for Australia before the session. So if I wanted to inspire students, here's what I could research. What are the biggest economic opportunities in Australia? Boring. This is a boring list. Please don't show this to any students. What does this even mean to them? They have no idea what this stuff means. Let's try again. What about challenges to solve? So I did it two ways. What are the biggest growing companies in Australia? Boring. Don't show this to students. What is applied EV? What's Frankie 1 if you don't know? What's fleet space tech? They don't know what this means. What if you did it this way? Show the challenge that company is solving. You see how this is mission-based? You see how this is purpose-based? This is going to engage people. Again, I'm using the word students. You don't need to do this with students. You can do this with anyone. And now you don't need to use my tool. You can make your own. I just showed you exactly how to do this. You can make your own inspiring, challenge-based resources using ChatGPT. I suggest you follow AI ethics thought leaders to keep an eye out what to look out for. You want to learn from ChatGPT, the company, sure, but be skeptical. What should you include? What should you not include? Are they going about their work ethically? That answer is going to change after today. So, you can read articles about it. You can curate great AI thinkers that you can follow through their Substack, through their email, through LinkedIn. To me, this is the best way that you can be mindfully using AI because you're trying it, you're using it to help people, but you're being mindful and you're learning what are the good things or bad things that are happening in this space. We need to have that awareness. We can't just use these tools blindly. Here's what we covered. Jake's story, why AI matters. I gave you a quick ChatGPT demo. I want you to walk away thinking about how you want to use GenAI. Feel free to share what you think was the most useful thing you got out of this session. While you're doing that, I want to invite those of you who want to email me to follow up or to connect with me on LinkedIn, please do that. And you can also scan this QR code if you want a chance to win the challenge cards. I don't know if that's easy for you to do that there, or I'm even going to give you a form here to fill out. I want to give away a free deck of cards as a thank you for coming to this session. David, what did we miss? What did we want to cover that we haven't covered yet?
Well, we could have gone for another hour, I think. Everyone's sort of going, like, wow. So from that perspective, I think, you're ahead of the game, but even as you admit, you're still learning as well. And I think that's a big takeaway, right? Is that, I think unless we're the developers of these tools, we're all playing catch up really, really quickly, which was really the message last week as well. I think, our profession, we can't ignore this. We have to embrace it. And I think what you've done today is shown a really innovative, practical way in which you can use ChatGPT. I mean, I know a lot of people in chats have sort of said, oh, what about Bard, which is now called Gemini, and what about others? We know that there's a whole range of, of different types of, and they'll continue, right? So, at the moment we've got ChatGPT and we've got Gemini and we've got Copilot. Probably in a year's time, we're going to have a whole range of other ones as well, right? So I think, from that perspective, it's great. Just some common themes that have come up. I've posted your LinkedIn address. A lot of people are wanting to connect with you on LinkedIn, so I hope you don't mind. A lot of people have asked, where do we get the cards in Australia? So I've given them your SparkPath website. So I'm assuming they get the cards direct from you. There's no third-party buyer, correct?
Exactly. They can order them online, and it's just Jody from my team that's going to mail them out to you.
So from that perspective, that's great. I think, as you said throughout the course of the session, the chat was going crazy. So I'll actually send you a copy of the chat after this. So in your downtime, you can actually have a read through people's comments. You'll be able to see definitely towards the end of the chat over the last minute while I've been talking, so many positive comments coming through about the presentation. So on behalf of the Career Industry Council and particularly those people that joined us today. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I think one of the things with all of our webinars is presenters that bring practical applications to what they're talking about really resonate. And I think today, your live demonstration about how to use ChatGTP has really transformed, I think, for a lot of people, how they need to start thinking about how they, deliver their services. And even particularly, I was thinking, going back to my old days of working in a school, that last example that you just gave then, I mean, it's so true, isn't it? We sort of give kids lists of emerging occupations or emerging industries, and they just glaze over going, oh, we don't even know what you're talking about. And now we have the technology where we can actually make it far more engaging for them. So from that perspective, I think awesome, really, really good. So thank you. Thank you for giving up your early evening. It's been great to be great to have you as part of our international webinar series. Hopefully we can stay connected too. So I think, it'd be great to do sort of another session maybe in, 12 months time to see how far we've come in the next 12 months as well.
That'd be great. Huge thank you to you for the invite. It's a privilege to get to meet so many new great people, and big thank you to everybody for the time you invested here and the huge energy and questions in the chat. I appreciate it, and I look forward to continuing the conversation.
Thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you, you too. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.